gunfire in the hills, vengeance in the streets, Syria's fragile peace is burning in Sweida. A tribal feud between Druze and Bedouins has spiraled into mass killings, executions, and foreign airstrikes. As Israel drops bombs and Druze militias rise, even Israeli citizens cross borders to fight. The government blames outsiders. But who's really fanning the flames of this sectarian war? Machine gun fire and mortar shelling echo across Syria's predominantly Druze region of Sweida this Saturday as the country's Islamist-led government struggles to implement yet another ceasefire. According to Reuters reporters on the ground, gunfire rang out from inside Sweida city, while shells landed in nearby villages, marking nearly a week of sectarian bloodshed that has claimed hundreds of lives. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reports that clashes around Sweida have killed at least 940 people since violence erupted last Sunday. Among the casualties, the observatory documented 326 Druze fighters and 262 Druze civilians, including 165 who were summarily executed. The fighting began as disputes between the Druze religious minority and Syrian Bedouin tribes, but quickly escalated when government forces arrived to restore order and effectively sided with the Bedouins against the Druze community. Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Sharaa addressed the nation, acknowledging the crisis while attempting to shift blame.
Despite our persistent warning that the absence of the Syrian state in those areas would spark unbridled chaos that could widely ignite the clashes, what actually happened was the worst. The departure of the state forces from these areas paved the way for fierce retaliatory assaults perpetrated by armed groups from Sweida against the Bedouins and their families.
Sharaa went on to criticize Israeli involvement, saying,
"The Israeli intervention had refueled the events, and the flagrant bombing of the South and state institutions in Damascus has tipped the country to a perilous stage of destabilization."
Al-Sharaa also defended his government's commitment to minorities, declaring,
"The Syrian state is committed to protecting all minorities and sects in the country and is proceeding to hold all violators accountable from any party. No one will escape accountability. We disassociate ourselves from all the crimes and transgressions that have occurred, whether from inside Sweida or outside it. We emphasize the importance of achieving justice and applying the law equally to everyone."
The conflict has drawn in neighbouring Israel, which launched dozens of airstrikes on Syrian government positions and the defense ministry in Damascus. Israel says it acted to protect the Druze, who form a significant minority within Israel and often serve in the Israeli military. Reports emerged from Sweida of Syrian forces executing Druze civilians and looting homes, while videos showed Druze fighters beating captured government soldiers. From a hospital in Sweida, Dr. Omar Obaid described the devastating toll.
"All the injuries are from bombs, some people with their chests wounded. There are also injuries to limbs from shrapnel.
The violence has exposed deep fractures in Syria's post-Assad transition, with the United States and Israel taking opposing views on the country's future. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a stern warning to Syrian authorities.
If authorities in Damascus want to preserve any chance of achieving a unified, inclusive, and peaceful Syria, free of ISIS and of Iranian control, they must help end this calamity by using their security forces to prevent ISIS and any other violent jihadists from entering the area and carrying out massacres. And they must hold accountable and bring to justice anyone guilty of atrocities, including those in their own ranks."
US envoy Tom Barrack, serving as both ambassador to Turkey and Washington's Syria representative, called the warring parties to lay down their arms immediately.
The international community has largely rallied behind the nascent Syrian government, watching with cautious optimism as it seeks to transition from a legacy of pain to a future of hope. Yet this fragile ambition is now overshadowed by profound shock, as brutal acts by warring factions on the ground undermine the government's authority and disrupt any semblance of order. All factions must immediately lay down their arms, cease hostilities, and abandon cycles of tribal vengeance.
However, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar rejected Shara's explanations, accusing the Syrian leader of victim blaming.
In al-Shara's Syria, it is very dangerous to be a member of a minority: Kurd, Druze, Alawite, or Christian. This has been proven time and again over the past 6 months.
Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis deepens. According to the United Nations, the fighting has displaced at least 87,000 people. Syria's Information Minister Hamza al-Mustafa announced plans for humanitarian corridors, while Emergency Minister Riyad al-Saleh described the situation as dire, telling state television that the humanitarian situation is bad and that convoys were waiting for safe passage when the appropriate conditions present themselves. The Syrian Observatory noted that some hospitals had reached capacity, with one official describing there was no more room in morgue. The violence has resonated far beyond Syria's borders, particularly within Israel's Druze community. Khan News reports that 2,000 Israeli Druze have signed a document declaring their intention to join the fighting in Syria if attacks persist.
We are preparing to volunteer to fight alongside our brothers in Sweida. It is our time to be ready to defend our brothers, our land, and our religion.
In an unprecedented move, Israeli Druze member of Knesset Hamad Amar confirmed he crossed into Syrian territory during the violence.
Our objective was protecting Druze youth from harm in Syria. When you witness attempts at sectarian extermination and massacres like those in Sweida and Jabal al-Druze, you cannot afford to stand idly by.
The Israeli government has responded with practical support, announcing plans to send medical equipment and medicine to a Sweida hospital. Health Minister Uriel Busso emphasized the commitment.
We cannot stand idly by when members of the community, inside or outside Israel, are in danger.
On the ground, Bedouin tribal leaders remained defiant despite ceasefire calls. Tribal head Kamal al-Alawi declared,
"We are the sons of the tribes. We are not bound by any order. This is a tribal issue. They attacked the women. They slaughtered the children and the elderly. We won't go back unless we take our rights. Blood for blood. Those who started are the aggressors. God is great."
As night fell Saturday, the Syrian Interior Ministry announced that security forces had cleared Bedouin fighters from Sweida city, though the broader conflict across the province continues to test Syria's fragile transition from decades of authoritarian rule.